All right, so recently, some of the SJWs got together, made a video titled "What Reasonable Questions for Anti-SJWs," and did a response a few days ago. I never uploaded it, but I actually went through the video, answered some of the questions. Yeah, I do mock and insult you guys a lot in that too, mainly because you guys have earned it. You said some pretty mockery-worthy things. But you know what? Instead of uploading this, taking a step back, I'm going to give you guys a more earnest response, even though I know you guys don't really deserve one. But here it is. So, start out, anti-SJWs, I hate to break it to you, are not a collective. We're not a hive mind. Most of us, about the only thing we do 100% agree on is the fact that you guys in the SJW movement are at best whiny, at worst incredibly destructive. Destructive to a free society, destructive to hobbies, destructive to social life, destructive to a workplace, and everything like that. So this is why, and you pushed and you've picked at people, you try to push your BS on people, and eventually people are going to start responding. People are going to start getting sick of it, and you're going to make enemies. That's just the fact of the matter. All right? And when you sit there and call us responding to you or mocking you or anything like that, you want to project that whining onto us, it just shows your true character. See, this is another thing that people have an issue with, is you guys tend to project a lot onto us. And what you don't realize is that you at least don't seem to realize, is that you guys are the biggest perpetrators of some of this behavior that you claim to project onto us, that you claim that we're engaging in. Harassment, name calling, insults, stuff like that, racism, sexism. I hate to break it to you guys, but if you listen to yourself with an objective mind, you guys should see how racist, sexist, and everything else you really are. And anti-SJWs, again, we're not a hive mind. Some of us, about the only thing we agree on is the fact that you guys are destructive. And, you've got SJWs that are pretty liberal. You've got anti-SJWs that are almost at the point where they're socialists. You got other anti-SJWs, such as me, are pretty right-leaning libertarian. You've got others that are moderates. So there's a whole slew of different people you've pissed off. You've got people who are bronies that aren't too happy with you guys. You've got people that are fucking gamers that aren't too happy with you guys. You've got blacks that aren't too happy with you guys. You've got women that aren't too happy with you guys. You've got homosexuals and transgenders that aren't too happy with you guys. You've got people like me, which, are into the shooting sports and gun collecting. We're obviously not too happy with you guys. You guys, if you don't understand, in your quest for social justice, you guys have made a lot of enemies doing so. I'm going to cover down on this, and the first thing I think I'm going to start out with is your childish mindset. So here goes. So you guys have a very childlike mindset, and that's no escaping that. So I'm going to throw out some developmental psychological terms, or some psychological terms you'll hear in developmental psychology, to describe you guys' mindset. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about here. First I want to start off with is centration. You guys are habitual offenders of using the process of centration to reason. And basically what centration is when you focus on one aspect of the problem and ignore, and the aspect's usually either only partially relevant at best or completely irrelevant. You focus on that one aspect and ignore all the other aspects. So, and usually, where I say this is a childlike mindset is because usually you've grown out of this by elementary. Most children stop using that form of logic when they grow out of elementary. Perfect example, the wage gap. Now, where that myth came about is from the Department of the Census. The Bureau, the Census Bureau. Basically, what they did was they took the average wages of women and the average wages of men, and 77 cents on the dollar. It didn't take into account any other factors. Now, feminists, ignoring all other aspects, will claim that this is solely because of discrimination, when in fact you can go and look at DOL statistics and you'll find out it's not the exact same work. They've just taken that broad brush number from the Census Bureau and declared, well, women get paid 77 cents on the dollar. It's got to be for the exact same work. They jumped to that conclusion, and they won't focus on any other aspect of the equation. Black Lives Matter, another offender. You want to see an infantile movement, look at Black Lives Matter. All they take into account for is a white cop shoots a black person. They don't take into account, well, what was this black person doing? They don't take into account, well, was this black person robbing somebody? Was this black person putting somebody's life in danger? Was this black person charging the police officer? Was the black person trying to take the police officer's gun? Hell, you can't even get them to say, okay, was a black person armed and pointing a gun at a police officer even? No, they just simply take black black suspect, white cop, and go from there. They simply assert that the black person was obviously an unarmed saint just surrendering to the police, and they claim that that white police officer was, just out there to kill as many blacks as he possibly could. Another example with the Trayvon Martin incident. And George Zimmerman is Hispanic, You guys threw that part completely out the window, to sit there and claim that he was a white person, So, there's a lot of centration in the SJW mindset. A lot of it. And you really can't come to any, how do I put this, any constructive solution to any problem when you won't look at all aspects of the problem. And in fact, you create problems, that don't exist simply by using that mindset. The next mindset, projection. Again, a very childish way of looking at things, but it seems like a lot of people engage in this mindset on a daily basis now too. And projection is basically just taking a trait that you have and throwing it out, putting it on, something you don't like. Give you an example: racism. You'll have a Black Lives Matter person saying, fuck that, kill whitey, and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, in their mind, all white people are racist, which is, a typical theme that you see from SJWs. All men are sexist. All whites are racist. All cis people are transphobic. All straight people are homophobic. You know, are you starting to get the picture to where you guys are starting to understand how just how childish you're looking at the situation and you're looking at the world? I mean, do you guys understand that at all? Another thing, now this one happens to come, I think, from, well, mainly, you know, the SJWs of the opposite group to what they're claiming to protect. Such, take for example, you take a white SJW, you know, who's who's speaking up for Black Lives Matter. And I think that they engage a lot in this thing called the reaction formation. What a reaction formation is when you say, and you see this a lot in small children with, you know, siblings. You know, you have one sibling that's, you know, jealous of the other sibling, you know, doesn't like the other sibling all that much. In fact, really hates him. But, you know, in order to save face there, in order to try to convince everyone else that that's not true, they will go the complete opposite. Pretend like they love their other sibling, you know, yada, 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 you know, be really supportive of them. And in real life, they don't really like them. And I think there's a lot of, you know, SJWs that are exhibiting a reaction formation with their actions too. So, just in these few minutes here on this part, we've covered three thought processes that the SJWs seem to have a great deal or use a great deal of when they, how do you put this, are going through their own thought process. You know? So, take from that what you will. But the fact of the matter is that for everything I've seen out of you guys are probably the most childish people to walk the planet yet. Okay, so in the duration of the video, one of the SJWs brought up, well, why you guys have such an aversion to being called right wing? Well, it's not entirely true. Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, anti-SJWs fall under a whole spectrum. They fall under the whole political spectrum. In fact, there are a lot of us that maybe the only thing we agree on is that you guys are pretty much destructive in nature at worst, and, you know, at best, you know, you guys are just a bunch of whiners. Now, I'm going to come out and say, you know, I'm pretty right-wing myself. And I see some of these other anti-SJWs, well, I can tell you there's plenty of things I disagree with them on in other areas. You know, and they're not very right-wing. Now, when you guys say right-wing, you know, well, you guys are so far off the deep end that anybody else who's not a social justice warrior is right-wing in your eyes. You know, so I mean, how meaningful is the word? One, and two, when you say right wing, I think you're trying to infer racism in there and sexism in there, which also is not true. A lot of people that are right wing aren't racist, aren't sexist, or anything like that. There are some people on the right that are racist and sexist, but guess what? USJWs are the racist wing of the left. If you haven't realized that yet, you're the racist, sexist wing of the left. And you have some people on the left who are anti-SJW specifically because they don't like your brand of racism either. They don't like your brand of sexism either. You know? I mean, you know, of course, if a lot of us right-wingers were dishonest and looking to say anything to push an agenda, we could definitely take advantage of you guys' racism and sexism to nail everybody on the left. But we don't all do that. You know? So, again, I mean, you can sit there and call us right wing, and yeah, in your opinion, that might be true because you guys see anything that's not an SJW and think, oh, what a right wing extremist. You know, just because, I mean, you guys haven't left your echo chamber yet or your safe spaces yet. But the fact of the matter is that there's a whole other world out there, and people vary on the political spectrum quite a bit. You've got people who are left-leaning libertarians, and you know they're left-leaning libertarians because maybe they don't think that marijuana should be illegal. Meanwhile, they don't care about so much on the issue of people being free to own a firearm, which, in my opinion, I'm more right-leaning because I give a damn about my freedom to own a firearm and participate in the shooting sports. While, yeah, I don't care, what somebody does on their free time, as long as they're not expecting everyone else to support their habit. At the end of the day, though, I'm going to protect my hobby before, other people's hobbies. That's just how it goes. That's why I'm more right-leaning. I appreciate the free market. I really do appreciate the free market. Without it, I probably wouldn't have the money to participate in some of the hobbies I have been participating in. In fact, I see a lot of other left-leaning countries, like in Europe and whatnot, and I notice I'm better off here in the U.S. than I would be in Europe. So, on that note, again, I'm more right-leaning because, I appreciate certain things from the right, So, there you have it on that part right there. That should have answered your question. Alright, so on feminism, particularly third wave feminism. See, the thing is with third wave feminism is that there's a lot of malarkey with it, and the fact of the matter is, third wave feminism really isn't about equality. Now, there are elements of first and second. Me personally, there are elements of first and second wave feminism that I don't take for 1 second was about equality. They were just simply about removing a responsibility that women traditionally had, while not doing the same for men, on their responsibilities, or getting women some of the privileges that men had that without any of the responsibilities. I'll give you a recent example of one of the things. I think in 2016 sometime, they removed the whole clothes for women on some of the duty MOSs in the armed services. Now, some people would sit there and say on the surface, yes, they're fighting for equality. Well, okay, name one feminist that fought to make the APFT standards for men and women the exact same. Name one feminist that did that, because so far I haven't seen any of them do that yet. Not one feminist has come out and said, hey, wait a second here, these APFT standards are sexist and discriminatory. You want to go back to first wave feminism on voting? Well, when they made voting universal privilege for men, that was after men were being conscripted and going to war. A few years later, with the suffragettes, well, they got women the privilege to vote universally, but they didn't say, well, hold on a second here. Conscription is pretty discriminatory. It either needs to be all or nothing. None of them did that. None of them lifted a fucking finger. You know? So, no, I don't buy feminism as for equality. And if you look at modern third wave feminism, this is what a lot of the, pretty much all the anti-SJWs are pissed off about, or upset about, or responding to, or against, are these myths such as the wage gap, or the rape culture myth, or trying to classify, even so much as looking at a woman wrong, rape, stuff like that. So again, that's the issue that people have with feminism. Another person on there asked about why don't we try to take on the strongest arguments that feminism has? Well, modern feminism doesn't have too many strong arguments. In fact, that's the issue people have with modern feminism, is that they don't have very strong arguments to begin with. It's low-hanging fruit, and, quite frankly, the way you guys act and what you guys are advocating for, we don't want you to have your way there on that one, because, it's going to entail either paying women more to do less work, treating women like children, treating men like pariahs, Have you not seen the environment on campus yet? Expecting men to go through these don't rape people classes? Or anytime men want to have their own discussion on their own issues, feminists have to come in and shut it down, such as like the what happened with the University of Toronto a few years back. You guys wonder why people are stepping back from feminism? What with the kill all men hashtags and stuff like that. So guys, you want to know about why people are anti-feminism? Look in the mirror. Put the dictionary down for 5 seconds, because you guys aren't following the dictionary definition of feminism. You guys are following your own definition of it. 1 and 2. You guys, a lot of you only want to use the dictionary when it suits you, but you want to ignore the dictionary definitions of sexism and racism. So, again, there you have it. And there's another feminist who sit there on this very same video claimed that she was concerned about men's issues as well. Well, I hate to break it to you, but, if you're just going to be stuck on your narrative and you're not going to call out all these other feminists who sit there and go to and shut down MRA speaking convictions, just blatantly go there to shut the event down, pull fire alarms and stuff like that. Well, you know what? How genuine are you about having an honest conversation about it? And moreover, when you want to get into stuff like male suicide, stuff like male substance abuse, well, quite frankly, I think feminism, modern feminism, is more of a contributing factor to that than a solution. So, there you have it on that part too. Okay, so one person in this video, he asked, if we thought systemic racism was over, and if we thought it was over, then we needed to shut up and everything like that, because we're stupid. Yeah, dude. Here's the thing. When you're living in a country where the president is black, you've got 62% of the NFL, they're black, they're getting paid millions. You got probably the top grossing celebrity, Beyonce's black. You got Kanye West, who makes millions, yet complains about the same industry being racist, yet this very industry made him a millionaire. Well, see, that just doesn't make much sense to me. When the N-word is considered the worst word you could ever use, it doesn't it doesn't show me that there's systemic racism going on in this country, against blacks anyway. When every time a black person is shot in this country by the police, there's a whole media shitstorm with it, along with BLM riots. It shows me that there's really not a systemic problem of racism against blacks. You know, in fact, when, groups like the Ku Klux Klan and, neo-Nazis are enough to, being associated with one of those groups is enough to, just being associated with them, it is enough to cost you jobs, cost you friends, alienate you. That doesn't sound like there's systemic racism against blacks in this country. Now, on BLM, the movement was founded off a lie. Michael Brown didn't have his hands up. He bum rushed the cops, and every example you guys have brought up so far has been a criminal getting shot doing criminal things. What did you think was going to happen? You choose to be a thug. You choose to go out and rob people, bum rush cops, point guns at cops, point a BB gun at cops, which you were using to rob other people with. What do you think is going to happen? This isn't a problem with racism. This is a problem with stupidity. This is a problem with criminal behavior. And that's what it is. Now, on the other hand, when you SJWs can sit there and say, well, white this, white that, and, if you're a white male, you need to shut the fuck up, well, this shows me that maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit more racism being put out against whites by you SJWs than there is systemic racism against blacks. The black community does have their own issues, but guess what? That's not a racism issue. It's a cultural issue. And when you guys can figure that out, then we have a discussion. And moreover, when I started talking about centration, I absolutely meant it, because all you guys take into account for is the race of the person, and that's it. By your logic, me as a veteran couldn't share any experience with other black veterans, even though, to be honest with you, white veterans and black veterans have shared more in common, or probably are more likely to have some similar experiences, as opposed to, say, a black veteran and Al Sharpton. And the same goes true for black cops and white cops. They're more likely to have an experience similar to each other, as opposed to, say, a white cop and Hillary Clinton, or a black cop and Barack Obama. You see where I'm getting at this? This is life choices. It's just the same, as a white murderer is probably going to have, who gets convicted, is probably going to have the same or more similar experiences to a black murderer who gets convicted than, say, that black murderer and, I don't know, Beyonce. Or that white murderer and, say, Taylor Swift. It's not their race that has anything to do with it. It's the life choices that they've made. It's the path they've taken in life. So, there you have it on racism. The fact that you SJWs even mention name calling and insults is laughable here. I mean, it's like you guys missed the point where you're sitting there saying, if you're white, you're racist. If you're a man, you're sexist, and yada 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 yada. Or or anyone else remember that clip of Age Skrillex? You know, you're a fucking white male. You know, you're. How about this? Check your privilege. You know, and there are a whole bunch of other names and insults you guys use. Let's be honest with you here. Let's be honest about that here, guys. So I don't see why you guys are coming out and getting on to us about name calling and insults and stuff like that too. You know, come on, grow up. Grow up here. You know, if you guys can't take it, then maybe you guys shouldn't dish it out. That's all I'm going to say on that one. All right, this one I kind of found funny that you guys would even mention. Well, that some anti-SJWs use avatars and aliases instead of our real names and faces. You know, especially given the fact that you had two on there that video, at least by my count, at least two of them. You guys using avatars and aliases. So, I mean, if you guys want to make more sense, the least you could have done was not use the two feminists with the avatars and aliases there. That would have helped out a bunch. But to answer your question, I think some users do it, just because that's their get up. Some anti SJWs do it, because that's the whole thing to their show, like Undoomed or Armor Skeptic. Now, for a lot of people, well, think back at how you SJWs react to somebody who disagrees with you. Hell, look back to that incident with what Laughing Witch and a bunch of SJWs tried to do to Thunderfoot. They went after his job, tried to get him fired. Tried to lie to his employer. So why would anybody want to give you their real name or face after that? Why, so you can stalk them? So you can try to go ruin their life in real life because you didn't agree with what they said on the internet? Come on. Come on. You have to be the dumbest motherfuckers on the face of the planet to sit there and ask that question with a straight face when you clearly engage in that type of behavior. I mean, hell, let's look at other people. Let's look at Tommy Sotomayor. How many death threats has this guy got? How many people has he got harassing him? How many people did he have threaten his daughter? And you wonder why some SJWs don't put their face out, don't put their name out. Gee, I wonder why. I mean, remember what happened to that 16-year-old Trump supporter? That black 16-year-old Trump supporter. He got harassment. He got harassed at work. He got death threats. Now, me personally, I'm not too concerned with being harassed, or having death threats. I mean, quite frankly, if you're stupid enough to try to carry out that death threat on me, well, you're going to have a shitty day if you survive it. And, my employers, well, I don't bring them into this, And I think, that any of y'all did try to track me down or try to get me fired, I could easily defend my position to my employers, So, my employers are pretty reasonable people on that one, But some people, I mean, they just don't have that same opportunity. They don't fucking work as hard as I do at my job, and you know, they're just not as solid as my job, solid, at their job as I am, or they don't have a job that's in demand. You know, they don't have employers that are reasonable. So, on that note, when they're concerned about losing their only source of income, I mean, I can kind of understand that position. When they have family members or relatives or people that live with them, that they're worried about, well, it's kind of understandable why they want to keep their anonymity, and while they use avatars and aliases. You guys have a problem with it, look at the behavior of the people in your own movement. That's all I got to say on that one. And I bring this up here. I want to wrap this up with this. Guys, SJWs. This is where you guys take a lot of heat. This is where, you guys in the modern era, are getting your pushback from, for the most part. And no, us responding to you whining, us mocking you whining, us telling you no, just because you're whining, we're not going to give in to you or we're going to oppose you. It does not equate to us whining. Sorry, that's a classic case of your projection. Example, one of the feminists in this video you put out made comment along the lines of, well let's stop, sarcastically, by the way, let's stop Anita Sarkeesian from taking our video game. Well, you know what? You guys try to come into the gaming hobby and try to dictate to them what video games they couldn't play, or what content should and shouldn't be in the video game simply because it offended you. Instead of going out and making your own video games, you want to push your bullshit on other people. And if you take this mentality of, I don't see why you're so upset with us trying to change the video game that you already like, or trying to ban the video game you like. I mean, you know what that's akin to? To me, in my hobby, that's akin to saying, well, I don't see why you need a gun like this. I don't see why you're so upset with us trying to ban it. Fuck you. Fuck you. Comic book issue. I remember an incident, where, I guess some guys, some SJWs were whining about the comic book casts weren't diverse enough for them, and that they needed to change some of the races and genders of the comic book characters. Well, fuck you. If I'm a comic book guy and I like comic books and I like them the way they were, I have every right to, and if you guys were so pissed off, about comics not being diverse enough, why aren't you guys going out and writing your own comics? Same goes true for movies. You guys got so fucking pissed off when some people wrote some negative reviews about the new Ghostbusters movie. Instead of, trying to go change the genders of the casts in the Ghostbusters movie, perhaps maybe you should have come up with another movie, come up with another idea, and put your own diversity here. See, here's the thing, is you didn't build any of that stuff that you're talking about coming in and changing, but you're talking about coming in and dictating to people who are already interested in the hobby, who already built the hobby up, or built the fandom up on how it's going to be from here on out. You go in and attack other successful people and start dictating to them how it's going to be. And you wonder why you get pushback? You guys have to be some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the face of the planet, or some of the most dishonest motherfuckers who can't figure out which. And shoot, You know, you come to social life. You know, I don't know if I'm alone on this one, but I remember the whole infomercial when it came out saying that men aren't doing enough around the house and everything like that. Completely ignored the fact that, generally speaking, men are the ones going out and earning the income for the house. They're also the ones doing the yard work, the auto maintenance. They're fixing the dishwasher or changing out the washing machine when it breaks. You know, they're doing the heavy lifting there, taking out the trash. But you don't want to. But, you know, but you want to sit there and come in and say that they're not doing enough? Well, fuck you on that, too, you know? You come in and start dictating to people how they should live their life or how they should run their family, you know? You're going to get pushback by it, you know? That's just how it is, and rightfully so. Do you guys not see just how much of tyrants you guys are acting like? Do you not understand that? That you guys are just completely throwing your weight around? You know? I mean, good God. I mean, you've gotten responses left and right, and you choose to ignore them, pretend that they don't even exist, or you pretend that we're somehow being unjust, and you guys really are the ones that are being unjust yourselves. All right. Well, everyone else, thanks for watching. Any SJW that's watching this video, you know, I hope you learned something from this. Y'all take her easy out there.